In a magical forest, a playful little bunny named Benny lived a joyful life, hopping through the woods and playing with his friends. Benny, a small white bunny with soft fur and sparkling eyes, loved exploring the forest's wonders, from towering trees to sparkling streams. The forest was his playground, full of adventures waiting to be discovered. Benny often played with his forest friends, Sammy the squirrel, Riley the raccoon, and Timothy the tortoise, who brought their own unique skills to their games. On one sunny day, the friends gathered by an old oak tree to race through the forest, excited for the day's adventure. The race began, and Benny, with his boundless energy, darted ahead, leaping over rocks and branches as he raced toward the sparkling creek that marked the finish line. His friends, each with their own abilities, raced alongside him. As they zoomed through the forest, Benny was filled with joy, pushing himself faster and faster, determined to win. However, as the race continued, Benny started to feel the weight of his exhaustion. His small legs grew heavy, and though his friends encouraged him to slow down, Benny refused to stop. The finish line was within reach, and with one last burst of energy, Benny leapt across the finish line, victorious. His friends cheered for him, proud of his effort, but Benny was too tired to celebrate. The sun began to set, signaling the end of another fun-filled day. After the race, Benny slowly hopped back to his cozy burrow, nestled beneath a large rock and surrounded by soft ferns. Exhausted, he snuggled under a blanket of leaves, thinking of the fun he had with his friends. The peaceful sounds of the forest, with crickets chirping and leaves rustling in the wind, began to lull him to sleep. But just as Benny was drifting off, he heard an odd noise from outside his burrow. It sounded like something rustling in the dark night. His heart raced with fear, and he peeked out to see if he could spot what was causing the noise. The rustling continued, and Benny became anxious, unsure of whether a danger lurked outside his burrow. Just as Benny was about to venture outside to investigate, a wise old owl appeared on a nearby branch. The owl, with soft silver feathers and kind, twinkling eyes, asked Benny what was wrong. Benny, still frightened, explained the strange noise he had heard. The owl, calm and wise, looked around and noticed the trees swaying in the wind. The rustling sound was simply the leaves being stirred by the breeze. The owl reassured Benny, telling him there was nothing to fear. It was just the wind, which was a friend of the forest, creating soothing music as it rustled through the trees. Benny's fear began to melt away as he realized there was nothing dangerous outside his burrow. The owl stayed with Benny for a while longer, sharing stories about the forest and its inhabitants. He spoke of the gentle deer, the wise fox, and the helpful raccoons who worked together in the winter. Benny listened intently, comforted by the owl's calm words. He realized that the forest was not a place to be afraid of, but a magical world full of loving friends who cared for one another. As the owl prepared to leave, he offered Benny one last piece of wisdom. Remember, the wind is your friend. It whispers through the trees and will always guide you when you're unsure. With the owl's comforting words in his heart, Benny felt safe and secure. He thanked the owl and curled up in his burrow, ready to sleep. From that night on, whenever Benny heard a strange noise, he remembered the owl's reassurance. It's just the wind rustling the leaves. He no longer feared the noises of the forest, knowing that he was surrounded by kind friends who would always be there to help him. Benny's home in the magical forest was a place of peace, love, and friendship. The story of Benny teaches us that sometimes things may seem scary or unfamiliar, but they often aren't as frightening as they first appear. With the support of our friends and family, we can face our fears with courage and understanding. Just like Benny, we can find comfort in the wisdom and love of those around us. And like the wise owl's message, we are never alone in our journeys through life. Sweet dreams.